And we are live on YouTube. The Lunatic Libertarian here. I'm waiting for my guest, Darnell Boone, the big Deezol, to show up and go live and talk about his life and his expectations of what has happened in his boxing career. It's supposed to be raw and uncut, and I'm just waiting for my guest to arrive. So, in the meantime, let's talk about Darnell Boone. Darnell Boone is a journeyman professional boxer that has gone in fights with some of the most prestigious names in boxing: Adonis Stevenson, Sergey Kovalev, Andre Ward, and has done quite well against these elite boxers that we know of the era between the 2000s to the 2025 era. So I just wait for my guest to show up, and we'll be back as soon as he arrives. Darnell should be with us shortly here. I apologize, my mic was muted. Darnell is one of the journeyman boxers that is out here still living the life of a boxer. And probably is, like I said, he's been in the ring with some of the best out there: Sergey Kovalev, Adonis Stevenson, which is a man that he knocked out and then lost later on in his career. But we're going to listen to the life of Darnell Boone and what his journey of boxing has been to the world. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Darnell Deezol Boone.
Yes, sir. What's going on, bro?
How you doing, sir?
Oh, cooling, man. At work, chilling.
Still working that 9 to 5, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The grind don't stop.
Well, welcome to the Lunatic Libertarian, where we talk about liberty and freedom and how boxing is now a sport that can actually bring you prosperity as an individual on your own merit. I want to hear your story from growing up in Youngstown, Ohio, to where you are now, and how that journey has been for you as a professional and amateur boxer.
Well, I didn't stay amateur long. I only had 10 fights as an amateur. But far as keeping me out of the streets, you know what I'm saying, it was definitely a pillar for that. You know what I mean? 'Cause growing up in Youngstown, you get kind of sucked in into whatever's going on. You know what I mean? It's more negative than positive there. So when I started boxing, I had the, you know what I'm saying, a chance to kind of like change things around.
How did you get introduced to boxing?
My little brother, he was boxing maybe 5 to 6 months before we even found out he was boxing.
Really?
Yeah, I don't even know to this day who even signed his slip so he can even start. You know what I'm saying? And he came to the house because I ended up moving out of the house. So he comes to the house and crying that when nobody take him to practice. By me being in the streets, I knew like where all the football teams they team did practice at and all that. So I'm like, okay, so which team you play for? He said, nah, I box. I said, you box? I said, where's the gym at around here? But I used to ride past this building all the time. I would see guys out there jump roping, but I never paid no mind that that could be a boxing gym. So he like, it's up around the corner. So I'm laughing, cracking jokes with him. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm the big brother. You know, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna take you tomorrow, and I'm gonna take you to practice. So we go to practice. So it's five of us that actually went up there with me, my little cousin Marvin, rest his soul, Andre, Dwayne, and my little brother. We had end up going. My little brother ended up he wrapping his hands. He get to working out and doing his thing with the trainers and everything. So I tell the trainer, I said, let me work with somebody. He started laughing it off. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, for real, I really wanna work with. And he was like, who you gonna work with? So I scanned the gym and I'm like, give me him back there. And everybody like, no, 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 don't work with him. Don't work with him. He's like the best one in the gym. Now they testing my manhood. You know what I'm saying? So I felt
Right.
okay. He like, Kale, suit up. So he suit up him. I suit up me. I'm talking about dude dropping bombs on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about beating me corner to corner. I'm landing my shots, but I never controlled fault before. And
Right.
when the bell rang, he gave me a big hug in the center of the ring. He was like, man, he's like, you got a lot of heart. You would do good in this sport. And then when I got out the ring, I'm like, okay, the trainer like, you coming back tomorrow? I look at the ring for a little bit. I look at the trainer. I look outside for a while. I look back at the trainer. I look back at the ring. I said, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow.
So you fell in love with it right away as soon as you had your first experience, would you say?
Yeah. And then I was in the gym. I was in the gym training because I had end up finding a good job at the time for a guy that was my age, 22, 23. And I was making pretty good money. You know what I mean? So I was going to do the job and I was going to train. You know, just I didn't go in the gym to be a fighter. So I was going to do the training just to stay out of trouble for that extra, so I could, you know, say occupy the rest of that time. And then I was in the gym maybe 2 weeks, and he was having an amateur show, and he asked me did I want to fight, and I fought in that amateur, but I had to turn open because of my age at the time.
Okay. How old were you when you started boxing?
I was 22, turning 23. And I had to fight the better guys that been to the Olympics, the guys that been to the nationals, and been to all the tournaments that was around boxing at the time. And I think the first dude I fought, he had like 50 fights. I beat him, but you know what I'm saying. It was still strenuous because I was coming in 0-0, just fresh off the streets.
Yeah. I went to my first amateur boxing event as a participant when I was 40 years old, as an
Right.
0-0 expert novice. And I didn't win my bout, but eventually, I did make it to the final match, and I did take home the silver medal. So, I mean, that's something that you can you can hang your hat on, that you did the training, you did what you needed to do, and you went in there and did it. And as far as getting in there at an older age, did people look at you as like, oh, this guy's, he's an old man in this gym. He doesn't have any experience. We're going to take him to school. Or did you develop yourself in the boxing world very, very quickly?
Yeah, I had a lot of great fighters in the gym with me. Like, so they was already good when I got there. So me sparring with them all the time, I had to get good fast. And I learned pretty quick, you know what I'm saying? But I also had to learn on the job because everything was just so not familiar for me. You know what I'm saying? But with those guys being already good when I got there, you know what I'm saying? It kind of helped me develop faster.
How did you transition from your amateur background right into being a pro? What kind of contacts did you have? Because Youngstown is a boxer's town. You
Right.
know, you got a lot of individuals that are connected with boxing, especially in the amateur rankings and in Ohio in general. I mean, how did that transition work for you? Because you were an older gentleman with not as much amateur experience, going to multiple tournaments. There's fighters that grow up from 8 years old on up. So obviously you got connected and plugged into the boxing world very early in your career.
Well, I started my career with Jack Lowe, who had Kelly Pavlik. You know what I'm saying? So, we all from the same area.
Yep.
So that's how I got introduced into the boxing world. You know what I mean? But far as everything, the transition into from the amateurs to the pros, it was easy. I had more of a pro style as an amateur. So,
Okay.
the transition was pretty easy because it actually fit my criteria that I was going in with. But I wasn't really that good when I turned pro though. You know what I'm saying? I actually learned on the job.
What was the first thing that you really started studying when you got into that first pro fight and found out what a pro event is formatted as, and then your ring walk and everything, and then your participation and your preparation in that? How did that change as far as your mindset of knowing that this is the real deal? This is the job.
It wasn't I always had to I was always aggressive.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Even in the streets, I was always aggressive. So I didn't do nothing but transition that into the ring. So having my first fight, it was like, well, this is like a street fight. We just got gloves on. And I
Yep.
had to go for what I know.
And obviously you won that fight, and I think you started your career. What, it was 19-1, I believe. Or
What you said I started my career what the pros or
yeah, in the professional rankings, because you rose through the ranks pretty quickly as far as your opposition, as far as what I saw in BoxRec.
yeah, when I started out 4-0, and then they like moved me into fighting all the tough dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I took a couple losses early.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I fought the Walter Wrights and all them early in my career.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't print out your BoxRec, so I didn't want to be like, what was your main thing as far as, was it hard to get fights, or did you have a proper management? How was your team structured? Since you were already plugged in with a person that's handling Kelly Pavlik, who went on to be middleweight champion of the world.
I didn't have a team. My trainer was getting my fights, and I had a financial advisor. But as far as getting my fights, they was just really just putting me in front of everything. I kind of felt that they was putting me through the tough ones so he didn't have to fight the tough ones.
Oh, okay.
Because I fought everybody too early. You know what I'm saying? I always felt like that. Like they rushed me along.
Like they just moved you along so that you would be the test and make sure that the actual like investment was going to be, because they were invested in him. You felt like they moved you along and then tested the waters with you before they put him in the ring with people. Huh?
Right. Well, he stayed away from the guys that I fought. He didn't fight none of the guys that I fought. But the guys that I fought, he should have been fighting because we was at the same weight class.
Okay. Do you feel that he got preferential treatment over you as far as what was going on? But I mean, where was it detrimental to you as far as your paychecks or anything like that, or were you still moved along as far as a 1-0 fighter, a 2-0 fighter, and stuff like that?
Well, I never really understood the movement of a fighter until I got all the way into my career. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, they could have, after I fought Andre Ward, they should have slowed me all the way down. Like, okay, well, maybe we got something here. You know what I'm saying? Because you figure when I fought Andre Ward, I was 10-4.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they should have slowed me all the way down and start building from there.
And that's a memorable fight because that's one of the fights where Andre Ward was actually dropped.
Right,
And a lot of people found out who you were when you fought somebody who was an Olympian gold medalist, and they stuck you in there very early in your career when they were trying to move him along. Do you always feel like you were like a stepping stone in boxing, or did you feel like that you were given the opportunities that were best for you? Because it seems like your management team got you fights that they could actually get you in, but then you didn't have the pedigree or the amateur background to say that, oh, well, this is the man that we want to move. But then when you're put into a ring in a situation with Andre Ward, he's the one that gets dropped, not you. It's a very close decision. He won the fight, and a lot of people dispute that he actually won that fight.
right. Well, in that case, it was more of I had more heart than him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got the glitz and glam behind you, and you got the best promoter, you got the biggest, you know what I'm saying, managers or whatever, but you baby. You know what I mean? So I still had that grit still coming from Youngstown
Yep.
to the boxing ranks. You know what I'm saying? So I think that played like a big part. So even though you hitting me or you think you hurting me, you're really not because I'd have been through this all already. Coming from where I came from. Like I grew up like aggressive, like I said, you know what I'm saying? And I had a chip on my shoulder. And I just transitioned that to the rank. And I had that for a while. It's why I did so great with the fighters that I was in there with.
Do you think that when you stepped up in competition, that because you have that mentality, it actually showed in the boxing ring? Like you dropped Andre Ward, you knocked out Adonis Stevenson. I mean, you had two fights with Sergey Kovalev that were very, very close. It's like, you've been in there with some of the biggest names of the eras, and that's why I want to give you your kudos because it's like I know that you've been in there with some of the best in boxing, but yet, it hasn't transitioned to where you could do something a little bit more with it.
Right. It's kind of like they kept me at the gate and they wouldn't let me get over that threshold. One is because maybe I was too tough. You know what I mean? But I never could get the actual chance to actually showcase. And then even like when I get fights, it was always tough fights. Like I fought tough my whole career.
Right? There was no easy fight.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like I never heard of that. You know what I'm saying? But except back in the day, the 60, 70, 80 fighters, you know what I'm saying? They fought each other and they was stuff like that. But modern day, nobody had their career just tough and rough like that.
Right? They're
Taking
not
over.
building it in Tijuana, they're building it overseas. They're getting guys that are 0-30 and been
Right,
knocked out 20 times. They're not fighting world class opposition every fight.
right.
And that's what we see in the modern day era is that world class opposition is not fighting each other every single fight back to back to back.
And even if they fighting each other now, it just looked like that on paper. The guy, he 20-0, but he fought a bunch of nobodies. So when he fight a guy that fought a bunch of nobodies too, but he's a little bit tougher than him. You know what I'm saying? We getting the what we getting.
Right. Do you think that changed a little bit with the East European fighters coming over, like a Bivol, Viterbiev, a Vozdik, a Lomachenko? You know, these guys that had very big amateur pedigrees. Do you think that they were gifted the opportunity to become a world champion in their eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, second world, professional fight? Do you think that is something that is a bit of an anomaly in today's game?
Well, with Lomo, I understand how they moved him. You figure you what, but they got different type of records on him. Some say he 399 and one. Some say 396 in this. I don't know, but him coming in with that much experience, of course they're gonna have to put him in with the better guys. Because a dude that's actually coming in 0-0 and he got 300, 400 something matches, he probably kill him. You know what I'm saying? But the rest of them, you know what I'm saying, they actually work to get to where they are. They fought the guys they needed to fight to get to where they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have that. I didn't go this. Okay, we're gonna go to the next tier. This. Okay, we're gonna go to the next tier. I fought it was like I was in Mortal Kombat. You know what I'm saying? I fought the big boss and then was coming down. You know what I mean? It's like they kind of aged me out.
Do you think that was with mostly your manager or your promoter?
I don't know how it was, but somebody did it. But the craziest thing is when I started taking over my own career and start getting my own fights, I won my biggest fight, like the Adonis Stevenson fight, and beating Kovalev the first time, but they gave it to him because the money is behind him, and I'm a nobody coming in. You know what I'm saying? And I beat a lot of guys, but it wasn't no money behind me to push me, and I didn't have nobody to even dispute the decisions or even cause a ruckus about it.
So you didn't have somebody that actually would go behind the scenes and would file the lawsuits with the sanctioning bodies and say, "Hey, this needs to be disputed." Do you think that's because you're an example of how the game has put your name in lights, but you haven't had the benefits of the rewards? Men now in the new game have seen this example and they're not going to allow that to happen. Do you think that they have, their parents or advisors that put in stipulations in their contracts to make sure that the benefit is in mostly their end?
Well, now it's not really no guys that's starting off like me. It's all guys that already just work themselves through the amateurs, that work themselves through the novice ranks, the open tier, going pro, and they taking their time. Like, so by the time the guys get to where they try to go and fight for their world championship, they already got a pedigree and a long road of everything that they didn't put work in for. So when they get there, and then the guys that's fighting now, they all fought each other in the amateurs.
You have that as well, yes.
You know what I'm saying? So they already know each other. They already got the styles that they already coming up with, whether they changed or whether they stayed the same. And the guys that's beating each other now, they beat each other in the amateurs. It's just in the pros now. Everybody know each other. Everybody been around. Everybody does sport each other. So they kind of know the guy that they're fighting. Whereas when I was coming up, I didn't know nobody. I didn't know the style. I didn't know to go on the computer and look up the dude to see what he do right, see what he do wrong. You know what I'm saying? All the patterns. I didn't learn that until late. And then when I get a fight, if I didn't take that fight then, I won't fight a year, 2 years, 6 months, 3 months, 4 months. You know what I'm saying? So it's gaps in my career where I didn't fight.
They kept you on the shelf and kept you by the phone waiting. Well, there's going to be a call. There's going to be a call.
Right, right. And a lot of because I left my trainer after well, I ended up getting locked up, and I left my trainer after that because I felt he wasn't there in my corner.
Well, what happened with that? I mean, let us know about it. So you're with your first trainer, and then you end up getting locked up. What happened
Yeah.
with that? What criminal offense were you charged with?
It was a string of armed robberies that I had nothing to do with, so I ended up getting locked up for nothing. And everybody sent their statements. Everybody said that everything that they needed to do, and I felt he didn't have my back with that, knowing where I was at when it was happening. And so I ended up leaving him, and then I started doing my own thing. Then I got with some other people. They was getting me fights, but they didn't really know what they was doing.
Okay.
Then when I came home, I'm trying to get back to where I was before I went in there, and I took 5 losses in a row, and then that's when everything started spiraling downhill. Then I would win there, take a loss here, loss here, loss here, then take a win here. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to get back to where I was before when I just should have just took my time, but I didn't know. You know what I mean? I was just thinking about I got to get this money. I got to get back to where I was at. And I
Do
didn't
you
have
think
nobody.
that? Go ahead. Keep going.
I didn't have nobody to say, "Look, bro, calm down. We don't need to take this fight here. We don't need to take this fight there." But then I end up getting with another guy, Adrian Patrick, who was guiding me, and he was trying to do the right thing. But me, hard headed, I kept taking fights away from them and stuff like that, and losing. And then he tried to get me back on the right track, and then I get antsy when I'm sitting too long. Take a fight, lose. Halfway train, take a fight, lose. Then I got with some other people, which they was good, but the fights was tough. Like I said, I was just getting out, so I wasn't ready for them fights. Because while I was sitting, they were still active. They were still fighting. That's when I fought Irislandi Lara and Edwin Rodriguez and all them dudes like that when I came home from the being.
Do you think that being put in those positions eventually has made you a better human being in the long run, or do you still hold some animosity towards how you were treating in the boxing world? Because they say the boxing game is the dirtiest game, and boxing is the hardest sport in the world. There's some people that have some discrepancies, whether it's wrestling or anything like that, but boxing is one of the hardest individual sports where you have to put so much time into it that a lot of individuals right now understand not to get taken advantage of. And I think that your story has been broadcasted enough to that people know that it's not all glitz and glamour. There's a lot of hardships that come in the world of boxing.
Right. Well, let me see. I don't have no regrets. I mean, even though I was done wrong and stuff like that, I don't have no regrets. One, everything is like an accomplishment to me because I didn't go in the gym to be a fighter. You know what I'm saying? So boxing wasn't a thing like, okay, well, I'm gonna go in here, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fight. When I turned pro, I was doing it just for the money because I knew it was money to be made. Then I started enjoying the traveling side of it. You know what I'm saying? I just then I started just enjoying fighting and everything that came with it. You know what I'm saying? Meeting new people, meeting different fans, meeting the kids, you know what I'm saying? Boxing, in a whole, I never just took it serious. Like this is what I'm gonna do, buckle down and just fight. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I win them fights half trained, 50%, sometimes 25%. Like I just wanted to fight. It wasn't about the money. I didn't care about none of that. I wanted to fight. I'd be mad, go to the gym, train 2, 3 weeks. But they also didn't give me time to train. Once I got good, you know what I'm saying? It was like let's the last the the least of time where I had to get ready was 3 days. I didn't end up taking it, but they wanted me to fight Anthony Yard on 3 days' notice. I'm like, nah, I'm not fighting no type of dude like that in 3 days' notice. How am I even gonna lose the weight in 3 days?
Yeah, that's some dirty business right there. I mean, that's like you're desperate for an opponent. Let's call Darnell because he never says no.
Right. And that's what I think, you know what I'm saying, they banked on. He ain't gonna say no. He tough. Let's see if we'll see if we can get out of him to help our fighter or so if you lost to me, it's like, okay, well, you lost to Darnell. Boom. I get they
Yep.
gave my recognition, but if you beat me, it's like, okay, well, he a journeyman, so he a tough one, so you won a great fight. But then after I start getting good, like real good, it's like they start robbing me.
Because it's not then it's you're enough of a name to know that the fighter that has the machine behind him has passed this certain stepping stone, we'll say,
Right,
and then it's like a catch 22 because if you win, like you knocked, you'd have to win by knockout. It couldn't be any other way.
right,
And that's why Emmanuel Stewart said that the only way that you can guarantee your life in boxing is by knockout. That's the only
right,
way because there are so many other systems in place. Whether you're in California, you're in Texas, you're in Vegas, you're in New York, you're in Jersey. These different athletic commissions understand the business side with these promoters and you understand why there's certain referees being picked for certain cards and so on and so forth. So
right.
and along with the judges. So, I mean, I absolutely understand what you're talking about. And I think that a lot of people in today's day and age, as a fan, I wouldn't say casual, I would say more of a true boxing fan, understands that, oh, this is why, Kenny Bayless is the referee or Joe
Right.
Cortez or name a guy that you've seen in multiple world title fights no matter where the event is being held, and they're only a part of a certain state athletic commission. So you
Right.
understand that the sanctioning bodies, have a business agreement with these individuals as well. If you don't understand that, I would say that as a boxing fan, you're pretty blind to what the actual nature of boxing is. So, what would you say would be your opinion greatest accomplishment in boxing?
The greatest accomplishment for me is actually being the guy that everybody could look up to in my city. That actually did it. I came from the mud with y'all. I came from the ground with y'all, and I actually made it this big with a little or nothing. No team, no management, no promoters, just fighting raw and rugged from the streets of Youngstown, Ohio. And I didn't go in the gym to be a fighter. And I made it this far. So it actually proved to me if I'd have took it serious, I could have did something. But it actually put a damper on everybody else because y'all let me or allowed me to do what I did with y'all and I had no experience. So if you didn't have that big promoter, you didn't have that big manager, you would have lost to me. If you didn't have all the machine and the money behind you, you would have lost to me. And that right there give me like, damn, like I did it.
Well, I mean, the record book can reflect whatever it wants. And
Right.
the importance of a win loss record, in my opinion, if you watch the fights, there are many, many, many professional boxing matches that are still disputed today on who actually won that fight versus what the record book
Right.
reports. So, in order to understand that, it's an individual's perspective to say, nah, Darnell won that fight, or no, no, it was Andre Ward, or no, 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 Darnell won that fight. No, it was Kovalev. And this is, you have these conversations with people all the time about their opinion of who won fights. What is judging supposed to be on? Is it by damage? Is it by defense? Is it by ring generalship? Is it by clean, effective punching? Is it
Right.
by the interpretation of what is a clean punch versus what you see on camera that can be replayed? Oh, well, that actually land.
Right.
And the interpretation of the fans. Like I was live ringside to Fundora versus Tim Zoo in Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena, and I thought, Tim Zoo destroyed Fundora
Right.
being there live. Everybody that saw it on TV said I was crazy.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know. I was live, man, and I was watching Fundora get hurt that entire fight. So it's like it's all interpretation, but it's a combat sport where if the rules weren't there, who actually wins? You know what I mean?
Right.
If those entities of managers, officials and all that, if they're not there because of excuse me, their networking in the world of boxing. Let's say there's just three people that were given instruction. This is how you judge a boxing match. You go observe the fight. There's no pre-bias there. Do
Right.
you still get the same outcome?
Right. And then paper, like you said, piggybacking off what you said, paper only show the wins and losses. It don't show what actually happened into the fight. The only people
Correct.
that know what actually happened are the ones that actually there. And they be like,
Correct.
nah, it did not go the way that y'all think it was going. You know what I'm saying? Because TV is kind of like a facade that what in person what's going on. Even like because I was there at the fight where Andre Ward fought Kovalev, the first one. Like it was a lot of stuff going on in the fight. I'm talking to a dude. He was going for Andre Ward, and he like, man, Andre losing this, man.
Yeah.
I said, nah, they ain't gonna let him lose. I said they gonna give it to Ward. Kovalev not gonna beat him, and he drop him. And, you know what I mean? And I'm like, nah. I'm like, he like, wow. When they gave his decision, he like, wow. I said, I told you.
You can see Andre Ward's face in that fight when they announced it because he was pacing back and forth like, oh, they're going to give it to him. And then as
Right,
soon as he won, you saw that authentic surprise
right.
come across his face, and that body language will never lie.
Yeah, like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Even like when he fought me, he didn't know. He didn't
No,
know.
you could see it in his body language that he's sitting there, and it was a very lanky Andre Ward at that time, and he's just like, and he's thinking, and then all of a sudden his hand get raised, and that same body language shows that I didn't really win this fight, but they gave me the decision.
Right.
How do you think that it affects the fighters who have the machine versus the effect on you who doesn't have the money or the machine behind you to go back into the gym and be like, I know I won that fight, and I know I don't have anybody behind me, but I'm going to still keep going, and I'm going to still keep getting after these guys.
Me, it was just in me to keep going. I never had no quit in me. And I didn't let it deter me because the kids in the gym, even though I took a loss or whatever, it didn't look like that to them. You know what I'm saying? I gave this sense of no matter what happens, you keep going. Whether it's the working stiff that's doing this the whole 9 to 5 by itself, just keep going. Because one day something could take out of this. You know what I'm saying? You
Didn't you
might
just
be,
have a fight recently?
yeah,
Back, and it was this month, wasn't it? It was very
yeah.
recent.
It was last weekend. Well, the week last weekend, the weekend before last weekend. Yeah, I took a loss, man. I ended up having a asthma attack in the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, and they had to stop it. He started landing too much. Like I couldn't do nothing, and I don't know why because I had the situation happen maybe two times. It happened when I fought Waleed Smidget the second time, and I was winning on the scorecards when they stopped it. It happened last July when I was fighting Mutombo, and then it happened this time. Something is going on where you know what I'm saying. So even like now, I'm like I've been thinking about giving it one more and saying quits, or even just saying quits and just the knowledge that I have. You know what I'm saying. Just get to the kids, and because something is going on, and I don't like. I was literally in the corner like this, bro, trying to breathe, and like nothing was helping. You know what I mean?
Do you think that's just a product of your boxing career, or do you think that it's something as far as like maybe some other congenital health issue?
Well, I got asthma, and I've been boxing with it this long, and then now, what I'm saying, even like a lot of pollen is in the air and different things like that, small. You know what I mean? Different things going on with the weather,
Hmm.
and I think that was a big factor. I lost I lost 14 pounds in 2 days. Um, that could have been part of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And then even like just aside of that, I really don't feel like getting up running no more. I don't feel like going to the gym no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to meet my trainer. I'm spinning them. You know what I'm saying? Playing hooky on training. You know what I'm saying? So like it's like okay, it's probably time to just hang it up. You know what I mean?
Where it's just the love to actually go out there and actually train is no longer there. You
It's
know,
not there no more.
they do make devices. I know Bass Rutten advertises a device to help with breathing because you go through a restricted orifice.
Right.
But yet again, you have to have the want and the will to go out there and spend the hours in running, hitting the bag, hitting the mitts, going through a game plan and actually prepared for a fight. And your mental focus has to be 100% on the opponent that's in front of you. And if you start losing that, it may be time to start moving on. Now, you, as far as training children, what are you doing with that right now?
Yeah, I'm dipping dabbing it. Well, but I've been training kids and everybody else for like 20 plus years. You know what I'm saying? So I've been on that spectrum of boxing, but I never just really just was doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was training people, you know what I'm saying, I'm getting ready for a fight, so I can't train them to their full capabilities that I can train them to. Like, cause I have my own gym, and I had the guys in shape. Like I was doing all type of crazy stuff. I love sparring this guy, sparring that guy, being through this camp and that camp, and just being around different fighters and everything going on. I learned a lot. So I would take stuff from this guy, this trainer, that trainer, these fighters that I'm sparring, these fights that I'm fighting, and I conjure it all up and put it in one ball, and then I train my students with it. You know what I mean? So now I could actually just chill and relax and just train them fully. Well, when I ain't at work anyway, you know what I'm saying? But I could train them fully, do they mitts, run with them and stuff like that, and still do those type of things. You know, where I ain't just barking orders and they and having them do it. I could actually do it with them. You know what I mean? So that's a plus with me and them is that I'm always active with all the fighters. I don't care what gym is in my city. I go there. I help them spar. You know what I'm saying? I spar with all the guys. Whether I'm in shape or out of shape, I always spar with the guys. You know, and I'll talk to them afterwards. This is what you was doing wrong, and this is why I was hitting you with this. Or sometimes I stop in the middle of the sparring match and be like, "Keep your hands up. This is why I'm hitting you with this because you got them here. You should have them here. All right, let's get back to it." You know what I'm
So
saying? And then,
actively training while in a sparring session.
right. Sometimes I will give them shots to see if they take them. I see. See, you didn't take that shot. I'm gonna show you why you should have took that shot. So I give it to them again, and then they don't take it. Then I give it to them again. Then I crack them on something. I said, "See, you should have took that shot right there when I gave it to you." I said, "This is stuff that you're gonna see in there. Like I'm giving you the stuff that nobody gonna give you. So when you get in the fight and you see this, you already know exactly what to do."
It's that game of inches,
Yes, sir.
and knowing this movement is going to open this opportunity, and to be able to show them that in real time, especially with your experience level, is
Right,
something that can't be given to anybody. You actually have to have that lived experience, that wisdom,
right,
the knowing the failure to have a win. You know what I mean? It's oh, I got caught with this shot. Now I know that once I see this movement, this my opponent's going to try it again, and then I can
right,
counter him with this. It's being the thinking mind in boxing, and that's one thing that I think a lot of people, when they watch MMA and stuff like that, they don't quite understand that everybody is thinking about the counter attack that they can present based on their skill set, because not every fighter is the same. You know, some
right,
fighters have to be flat-footed. Some fighters, they have to be fleet of foot so that they don't get hit because maybe they don't have enough punching power. I mean, depending on what weight class they're in, and also the punch resistance, depending on, like you said, just a couple of weeks ago, you had to drop 14 pounds in 2 days. How much does that weaken a fighter as far as their punch resistance or their stamina? And depending on how long the fight is, and the fighter can never lie to themselves. Like you
right,
said, sometimes you're half trained, sometimes you're 75%. The fighter knows what they put into themselves to produce an outcome.
right.
So would you always say to your fighters now, especially knowing the business side, would you train them on both? How to be 100% in the fight game and then 100% inside of the business side to make sure that there's no disadvantages being presented, especially from a young point of view. I've been trying to talk to circles of individuals and say that why isn't the business of boxing introduced to 8, 9, 10 year olds along with the brutality of the sport and the skill of the sport?
I feel that it's not instilled in them that early because they can't manipulate them once they get up in the ranks and once they start moving. Because you see, like now, like the Tank Davises and stuff like that, Floyd can't do nothing with him. Now he done learned the business. He don't know what to do. Now he can move himself. It's like, man, I ain't gotta listen to you. I know the same thing you know. So if they
Right.
teach them the business part of it early, they can't make their money. And that's why I think they keep because even like with me, I learned it later of how they was moving me and how the money is negotiated and everything. I ain't learned that early. They didn't teach me none of that. I mean, I was blind to the fact. But then I start paying attention to my contracts. You know what I'm saying? Because I am intelligent and I'm smart and I can. I'm like, let me see my contract. Let me read my contract. Let me see what's going on with my contract. But it took a situation for me to start being in tune with my contracts. But after that situation, I was in tune with all my contracts. I want to know what's going on with me because me trusting y'all probably was robbing me and I didn't even know.
Right. Do you think that people have the opportunity now with the examples of PBC, having self promotion companies, understanding that if you're an independent, it's used a lot of the times independent artist or independent contractor, because that's basically what you are as a boxer. You're an independent contractor. You have to pay your own taxes. You have to take care of all that on your own.
Right.
Do you think that with the the examples that are given throughout the history of boxing, of boxers being taken advantage of either promotion companies, managers, parents? I mean, there's numerous examples of taken advantage of. Do you think that independent boxers can come out like a Jake Paul? I understand that he had millions of dollars from YouTube to back what he wanted to do, but do you think that lower level individuals can self promote and then bring out the better side of boxing because there's more of independent control than having to work within a system that's controlled by people that have been there for decades?
I don't think so. But even like the guys now that are self promoting and self managing, they already got a foundation when they start doing it. You know what I mean? They didn't just come straight off the bat, like 'cause they all have promoters and stuff and managers that got them to where they are, and then they say, you know what? Let me buy myself out of my contract, or something happen when y'all get out of the contract, and then you start your own stuff. But by this time, you already established, so they didn't have to go through the hardships and the grit and the grind and the turmoil and everything that make you have to do this stuff. It's kind of like already set in stone. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is what you need to do with yourself and your career.
Well, I mean, that goes back to what I said earlier about if we were to teach the youngins that this is how the business works, this is how that you can become successful, the avenues that you have to work within, can we get self promotion where that foundation is laid at a very young age? Olympic pedigree, amateur pedigree, to where their let's say their LLC or their self business,
Right,
they can copyright their imagery, they can copyright their name, the licensing agreements and so on and so forth that goes into how you can make millions of dollars. And I think that Gene Simmons with Kiss is probably the best example of how you license yourself to be a
right,
millionaire just by image and name recognition.
right, right,
So if we can teach that to individuals that have that grit and determination to give and take punches against another human, you know, I think that we could probably create some of the most successful in the world. But yet again, it's how do you keep those two mindsets in place? Like Andre Ward, I saw an interview recently with him and Jay Prince and how
right.
that relationship was. So it's, can we get the influence earlier? Because we can put the influence there to teach them to be great boxers,
Right.
but can we teach them to be great businessmen as well, or
See,
businesswomen?
that's where I come in. You know what I'm saying? If they teams allow me to, you know what I mean? Because especially if you're coming up and you're not attached to nobody, you know what I mean? Where I can teach you the side because I've been there. I went through it. I went through the goods. I went through the bads of it. So I can actually help guide y'all through it. I might not know everything, but I know the foundation to get you to where you need to be, and then you can branch out and do whatever you need to do. But far as starting off to be independent, I can tell you what to do to get there. You just got to take heed to it and just move the way I tell you to move. You know what I mean? Because most fighters, when they leave boxing, they don't go back to the gym. Most fighters, you know what I'm saying? They don't go back to the gym and coach the kids or try to teach them the financial side or be a mentor to them as far as boxing and coming up. They Most of them don't do that. They completely leave boxing totally alone. They get bitter and leave it totally alone. And then you get your select few that go back and help out, train, and do everything. You know what I'm saying? that they were doing when they were, saying training for their fights and training everything there and being in the gym with different fighters and amateurs and stuff like that. And then like sometimes the pros and the amateurs don't even train together.
Right.
Some trainers don't even allow their amateurs to spar their pros.
They have closed sessions. It's
Right.
private and
And then here I am. You get it straight from the well. You know what I'm saying? Straight from the horse's mouth. You're getting everything straight from me because I'm still active. I'm still going through the game of it. And I'm bringing it straight from the game to you. So everything that you watching on TV, I'm bringing straight to you. You don't got to go through a third person. You don't got to go through somebody else. I'm bringing it straight to you. So when I'm sparring you, you sparring everybody I fought throughout all these years. You know what I'm saying? Or if
you,
I'm fighting you, you fighting everybody I done fought or sparred throughout all these years because I had to learn from somewhere.
do you have any knowledge from the famous trainers that fans would know it was like a Buddy McGirt or a Freddie Roach or a Ronnie Shields or I can keep going on as far as naming professional fighters that won world titles or were in world title contention that now teach the game to other pros and,
Right,
and try and guide them. And it's kind of it's like sometimes people want to say that, well, you're using me as an extension of your career, but technically that's how legacy and wisdom is passed on. You
right,
give the examples of what you went through.
right. Because I know Abel Sanchez like personally. I know Buddy McGirt personally. I know Antonio Tarver personally. Like guys like that have fought and that teaching people. You know what I'm saying? And it, it's it's a great thing to me because without boxing, I wouldn't have met these guys. You know what I'm saying? I know the Roy Jones Juniors. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, Antonio Torres. Like I know these guys. First, Jeff Lacey and Winky Wright and all them guys like that. I know them all personally. And without boxing, I wouldn't have met. So that's why I don't have no regret with boxing because I wouldn't meet or have met none of the guys that I've met throughout time, whether they were trainers or whether they was fighters. Like I know a lot of them personally.
Who
Like I
was your
know,
favorite fighter right now? Who would be your favorite fighter throughout history, and who's your current favorite fighter? And as far as the ones you know personally, who do you think was the most overall accomplished fighter, regardless of their win loss record? I'm a big Winky Wright fan. I
right,
think when he went overseas and built a career in Europe and then came back to and beat some of the biggest names that were being brought up, probably one of the best 154, 160 pounders out there.
right. And he a real cool dude in person, man. But all of them are. But the one that I had the best time with was Danny Green. You know what I'm saying? Him and Triple G, some of the coolest dudes you could ever meet. You know what I'm saying? And everybody was cool, but I had time to spend with them. Like everybody else. Well, Tarver too, but I mainly know his son like
Okay.
real closely. Him, you know what I'm saying? I met him through passing, but then I start talking to him off and on. You know what I mean? But the fighters that I got to spend time with and camp and living with them through camp and eating with them through camp was Danny Green and Triple G. And I knew Mike Seals too. Mike Seals from Atlanta. He was a 175 pounder. Some of the coolest dudes you could ever meet. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I spent time with them. So I got to actually see them in training and outside of training. And the most accomplished one, huh? I wouldn't say the most accomplished, but they all got something special in their own right. And I'm glad to have met them. I'm glad to have been around them, and I'm glad to either call them Unc or Big Bro. You know what I'm saying? And the guy, because the fans and the people that just see him on TV, I know him personally. You know what I'm saying? I'm like that. So when we watching they fights and stuff, I'm looking at them in a different light than what the fan is looking at them at. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because the fan's going to put them up on this pedestal, and you know them as a regular human being that
right,
goes through life just like everybody else.
right, right. Like, man, it's a great thing to me. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I don't have no regrets with boxing, regardless of how my career turned out. And I really didn't have a bad career. You know what I mean? Like, it was a bunch of ups and a bunch of downs, but all in all, it was perfect for me. You know what I mean? I don't have no regrets, none.
Who was your hardest, the hardest hitting opponent that you've been in the ring with, whether
The
it be
hardest,
sparring or an actual professional fight? Who's the guy that really was cracking that you got in there with?
Danny Green. Listen, Danny Green was hitting hard, man. Triple G was hitting hard too. Um, Phil Jackson was punching hard. Who else? I think that's about it. I even sparred a couple heavyweights. Um, but like all of them was skilled. Well, Kevin Johnson, he was real skilled. Who else? I sparred USS Cunningham. He was real skilled.
Steve Cunningham, United States
Yeah,
Navy vet. Shout out to Steve
yeah,
Cunningham.
yeah, man. Shout out Steve, man. I sparred Steve. Oh man, I sparred so many guys, man. My little bro, Brad Solomon. I don't know if you know, he fought at 147. He was like the guy at one time.
It's not a name that rings a bell to me.
Yeah, he was all right. I sparred so many guys, man. I sparred everybody from 130 pounds, man, to heavyweight. I sparred so many dudes. I got hundreds and hundreds of rounds in.
Well, the gym is where I mean, a lot of guys say they make and break their careers. There's the guys that are
Right,
great gym fighters, but can't handle the lights. And there's guys that can handle the lights, but sometimes get beat up in sparring. I mean, I think that to test yourself against another person, right, in a combat situation, especially when it's hand to hand,
right,
it takes a different mentality, a person to want to keep doing that, and then in that the training portion, because a lot of guys' careers end in the gym as well. You know, just
right,
because of hard sparring.
right,
It's like there are so many fighters out there that can fight and do it on a high level. We just don't know who they are.
right,
I'm a big proponent of releasing all sparring footage, because then you have an actual documentation of these guys that, yeah, maybe they don't make it pro, but holy shit, you can see these guys in the gym and they're a great example of how to be a boxer.
right. Like I even sparred I sparred Hector Camacho Jr. I sparred Joe Smith.
Big dude.
Oh yeah. He real quiet, but he cool, he real timid like. But in the ring you won't tell that. He real quiet, man. He real laid back. He don't really talk much. You know, man. Like I said, I sparred so many guys, man, and I learned so much in sparring. I sparred Kelly Pavlik for years.
Do you
Uh,
still talk to Kelly Pavlik at all?
yeah, I talk to him all the time. I
I
even
used to
go
watch
to
his podcast all the time. I used to watch him and James on their podcast
right.
when they first were doing it during the pandemic. So I was just like, yeah, I used to be on there all the time with their YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I always
I
wonder
even
what
go
happened
to
to
his
him.
gym. I even go to his gym sometime and spar with the fighters up there. I haven't been there in a while, but yeah, that's little bro right there. You know what I'm saying? Like I started my journey with him. You know what I mean?
You were
Like
side by side with them.
yeah, like I said, he was my first ever sparring. They got me into it, and
The ghost.
yep. So and I know Boom Boom. You know what I'm saying? I know all these guys personally, Harry Royal, Jeff Lampkin, like all those guys. We all from the same streets. So I come from a boxing pedigree. It's just that when I started out, I didn't know them like that until like a couple years in. And then I started meeting, but I started out with Kelly. Kelly, I started from the ground zero with Kelly when I was just coming in. You know what I'm saying? And I got good. I started sparring him, and it's guys that they don't really know about. And he retired when he was like 12 4. Darrell Richardson. He from the same neighborhood as us. Southpaw, slick. Oh man, crazy boxing skills. You know what I'm saying? Who else? Little Popo Salinas, he was nice. It's just some guys get chances and some guys don't, and that's what play a factor with everything. But and Billy Lau was good, and Roland Cummins and Brian Zordich. These are the guys that were in the gym when I started out. You know what I'm saying? So I had a great pedigree of fighters that was in the gym with me. From the little
And it
kids, from the little kids to the guys that were elite. Everybody in this gym could fight. Like some of the sparring matches were better than actual fights that was on TV. Like you would pay to see sparring. Like the
and
gym
that's
would be so packed on sparring days. You would think they was paying money in there. Yeah, man. Like so, I got to witness a whole lot of good things, man. That dealt with boxing. Like I seen the bad, but it's a whole lot more good that came out of it. And even like it changed me as just a man or a human. You know what I mean? I started seeing stuff in a different light because I had somewhere to channel all that negative energy that I had. And it actually made me a better dude. You know what I'm saying? I still got my flaws though, but but for the most part, it made me a great, great dude.
well, boxing is a world sport, and you get to see the diversity in different cultures. You get to
Right,
see more than what you grew up with in your immediate environment, and you see how other people interact with everybody. And it's not going to be the normal programming of as an American from the Midwest, because I'm from Wisconsin, the Midwest is, and you're from Ohio, so
right,
it's like, I got another thing I want to touch on before I lose this thought. Is like it's like when you see what happens, because I'm a military veteran, I've been around the world. It's like you can interact with so many different human beings and have such great interactions
right,
where you're like, why is the world the way that they're showing me? It's like, that's not how the world is.
right,
People interact every day and have great interactions. It's not all this negativity that's being programmed into us, and saying that, oh, life sucks, this is horrible, you know and it's like, but yet again, as a boxer, you're humbling yourself as a human because you're always challenging an outcome in the most difficult fashion known to man, and that's
right,
physical combat.
right. And I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Like, yeah, like all the different nationalities summed up all in one jar, one melting pot, and everybody is getting along. Even when your corner is beefing with this corner and y'all going through y'all stuff at weigh-ins, at the end of the fight, when everything cleared, all the smoke and dust clear, everybody laughing, everybody partying, everybody they enjoying each other and enjoying the moment. You know what I'm saying? And people don't get to see that, the behind the scenes stuff. They only see the build up and the fight. And then they see them talking afterwards, but they don't see the after effects of everything. Like when the war is done and the battle is finished. You know what I'm saying? And everybody back to their personal state
Yeah.
and talking, and even if you can't understand English and you don't talk English, somebody is translating, somebody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody congratulating each other. Like boxing is a beautiful, ugly thing, man. You feel me? It definitely is a beautiful, ugly thing. And what make it ugly is the business side of it.
Hmm.
Other than that, being a pugilist, man, it's beautiful.
I've wanted to do a lot in boxing. I haven't had a lot of opportunity. It's been just random interactions, I would say, that has put me where I am in boxing. But I've been a fan of boxing ever since my grandmother introduced me to USA Boxing on
Right,
Saturday nights and watching Butterbean and Mike Tyson and growing up seeing these individuals that are just in that moment.
right,
And when I went to the Golden Gloves and I was in that moment, it's like, yeah, I can do this again and again and again. And I'm 42, and I wish I would have did that when I was 16, 17 years old, or
right,
maybe even in my early 20s. Um, Still trying to go out there and do things as far as boxing and being active. It's just it's more on a negativity scale now than on a promotional thing when you're trying to do it as challenging somebody because yet again it's the mentality of a fighter. Oh, you think you can beat me with these hands? Okay, let's see what you really got. And
let's get it on. Yep.
then so I mean to see the interactions that are very very positive come out of something that is sometimes very brutal. It's like that's what makes boxing one of the greatest sports to watch because you can see the human experience all
Right,
in probably 40, 45 to 47 minutes of a fight.
right. And I know for a fact, and my family and all my friends, my true friends, they can vouch for this. I know for a fact, if it wasn't for boxing and me channeling, I'd be in somebody's prison or somebody's cemetery somewhere. A lot of these guys, they be using that as the story or the narrative, but bro, like literally, and I'm thankful for my brother taking me to the gym, and I thank him all the time too. Like, man, thanks for just taking me or having whatever, however God worked through him and have me go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so thankful for it.
Well, you've had a career that is an example that I think a lot of people should take to heart, and that it wasn't given to you. It wasn't an expectation out of life, but it's a life that you created basic, basically by yourself,
But
just experiencing boxing. It's something that you took in the heart and then you went with it. And you've had some very memorable moments in history of boxing. And yes, it's maybe not always on the winning side, but you do have that as well. You have the winning side, very exciting wins, and then you also have the very close decision losses, and then you have some losses that are pretty one sided. And
right,
it's to be able to have that career of I was under the lights. I've been in there with the best. I've been in there with the best training, and my experience in life is something that I'm very proud of. And it sounds like that's what you have, and it sounds like that's something that that knowledge needs to be transcended to the next generation because you have all this vast knowledge and experience in the world of boxing.
right. And even like this Friday, actually, a little girl that I be around every now and again. she actually want me to do her career day. So so I'm doing that Friday, and like for her to pick me out of anybody she could have picked. You know what I'm saying? That's big to me. And even like the guys in the gym that ask the questions and just take the time and just be around me and just interact with me. You know what I'm saying? Catch me in my real form or my human form and not the lights and the fighter Darnell Deezol, or they catch me as Darnell Boone, and I can explain to you what Deezol went through and give you the knowledge of all that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I think it's a beautiful thing, man. So all in all, to sum my career up, man, it was a blessing. Yeah, it didn't always go my way. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. But all in all, I had a great career, man. I did some great things. I've been some great places. I met some great people. What more could you ask for?
I don't know. I mean, the interactions that you have in life are yours, and you have a vast majority of what other people have never experienced.
Right.
Uh, Darnell, I'm not going to take any more of your time. Let everybody know where they can find you. You know what gym you're working out of, how they can contact you if they want. You know, if you're going to start getting into management or training. You know, if you're just even going to be an advisor to up and coming fighters, how would somebody get in touch with you?
Oh man, they get in touch with me on Facebook as Darnell Boone. They on Instagram they is Deezol Deezol 330. TikTok Deezol. You know what I mean? Deezol. And just reach out, man. I'm always willing to talk to somebody. I'm always willing to do an interview. I'm always willing to get on a podcast. Let's make it happen. You know what I'm saying? And whatever questions you gotta ask, we gonna ask them. You can ask them. I'm gonna answer them true, honest, and give you everything that I know and everything that I've been through.
Well, I really appreciate your time. You're still a champ to me. I'm the Lunatic Libertarian, Darnell, Deezol Boone, still an active fighter, still getting after it, and has a vast majority of knowledge that can actually help the next generation of fighters, trainers, whoever's in the world of boxing. I really appreciate your time, sir,
Man,
and
I
I
appreciate
wish you
you.
all the successes in life.
Thanks, man. I definitely appreciate it, bro.
Well, there's been another episode of the Lunatic Libertarian, and we're going to be out. Y'all have a wonderful life. Be free, have that liberty, and if you're out there, go get it done. Don't wait on anybody to do it for you. You go do it yourself. All right, y'all. Peace and love.